All right, hello. Welcome, movie fans and moviegoers. Welcome to another episode of the Final Credits. Today, folks, we're talking about news that makes me very happy. Nintendo, in classic fashion, just came out last night as of this recording and just at random on social media said that a Legend of Zelda movie is officially in the works. They officially got started with production. They're working on it with Sony Pictures for distribution and a producer by the name of Avi Arad, who apparently worked on Spider-Man films and other successful films in the past. So that's pretty cool. Also to be directed by Wes Ball, who is working on the upcoming Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes movie, which we're also going to cover that trailer. Okay, this is what's going on, right? Obviously, I am excited as hell for this movie, but I am not shocked. We all knew a Zelda movie was on its way, right? The success of the Mario movie earlier this year, we knew it was going to be successful. Nintendo knew it was going to be successful, but it blew away everybody's expectations, including Nintendo. So obviously, they knew, hey, we have potentially the next Marvel Cinematic Universe in our hands. We got to capitalize on this and make our other franchises movies as well. Zelda was everybody knew that Zelda was going to be up at bat next. So that wasn't a secret so much as it was a matter of when and the question was a matter of how. How being how were they going to make this movie? Was it going to be people just assumed it was going to be animated just like Mario? Maybe we'd get Illumination Studios like 3D animation. Maybe we'd get like an anime style thing like Studio Ghibli would get involved. That's still a dream of mine.
That would have been a dream.
Yeah, but this is the kicker and the curveball of their announcement is that Nintendo they told us that they are going to make this a live action feature with actual actors and costumes and sets and all that stuff. They're like a real live action movie. And honestly, that changes everything, in my opinion, with what we expected this movie to be and what we expected Nintendo movies to be after the Mario movie came out.
When you say it changes everything, does that mean in a good way or a bad way, or it's up in the air way?
Every which way, man. I don't like. It's just it really, in my opinion, I don't think people realize how much it turned everything on its head with what the expectations were for both this movie and Nintendo's plans as a whole. But because this is it, right? I would say back in the 2000s, people were always thinking about a live action Zelda movie to be made. Lord of the Rings was still big back then, so everybody always had it in the back of their minds, oh, they got to make a Peter Jackson a Peter Jackson directed Lord of the Rings X type of Zelda movie, and I think now it's easy to think that could be the case, but I don't think that is the case. But I'll get into that in a bit. But I think I'll give it to BigGrim first because I think besides me, he's probably the second biggest fan here. So what were your initial reactions, man? What were your thoughts when you first heard about this? When I first shared it to you in all capital letters?
About damn time. That was my initial reaction. Finally, we're getting this movie. I'm happy about it. To go over what Spade just mentioned, though, hearing that it's live action is potentially a very good thing, but it's also potentially a bad thing because I do always say for animation, you will get some of the impossibilities possible, the expressions that just can't translate to live action. You'll be able to get that through animation. But having said that, though, unfortunately, in today's day and age, live action is treated with so much more respect than animation. So that is a good thing in and of itself, that it's at least being looked at with respect. In terms of the director, obviously, like Johnny said, my dream director for this definitely would have been Peter Jackson. I feel like he just has a solid grasp of not even just fantasy in general, but he has a firm grasp of character, and he knows how to bring out what makes a character special and put it on the screen. And other than obviously giant sweeping pictures of New Zealand, which are amazing, and that'd also be great for Legend of Zelda. But yeah, no, as of right now, I'm excited. I'm stoked. I want to see who the cast is going to be because that's going to determine a lot of things.
I'll say this. It's definitely exciting news all around. Nintendo knows what they have with this such a loyal fan base. Especially the guy above me, with this game franchise, so they know what they're doing. So it just scares me, especially with this day and age and social media and the internet. Like everything's gonna get. I know it's like that with everything that comes out, but especially with this fan base, they're gonna be looking at every little detail under the microscope. And I really thought it was going to be animated, and that would have been a safe play. But at the same time, Nintendo, hopefully they're in charge of the creative process and know which way to
they
go.
Are.
And working with Sony, I know that the big name you mentioned early, Johnny, the big name producer from Sony that's working on this, but again, it's through the movie studio and a live action and a big budget, so you don't know how much studio interference from them they may or may not do. It seems like isn't the writer and director just pure speculation for now?
No, I think like Wes Ball is confirmed. I think Shigeru Miyamoto, the creator of Zelda himself, announced, like I think on Twitter or social media, that like Wes Ball he's been working with him and Avi Arad for quite some time. Apparently, I'll get into that too.
So do you think the Zelda creator is going to be not just a producer but a co-writer or screenwriter on this movie? As we see the trend with video game movies, the creators of the game involve with the creative process.
He'll oversee it. It'll be the same role. Like for Miyamoto, he oversaw the production of like the Mario movie. He worked closely on it, but he's not going to be a writer. He's not going to be like shooting the camera or anything like that. But like he's going to be the one that said like, no, we have to go in this direction. No, this is what Zelda's about. This is what Link is about. This is like this will work. This won't work. So he's going to be the guy to make sure that like the general look and feel and like history behind Zelda is preserved as much as possible in this movie form. So
the beautiful thing is timing is everything, and it's during a time where the video game trends are going up.
Oh yeah.
You guys know how much I love the Sonic movies that we saw, so I'm trusting that the creative team they put behind it knows the games, knows the lore, and Nintendo is cashing in, and I think the timing is right, so all the hope is there. But with this fan base, man, like I maybe by proxy how they are passionate about the games, but the fact that it's live action, a lot of mixed feelings, but there's still a lot of hope right there.
Yeah, but see, that's the thing. Like it being live action, like I said, this really changes up like what the expectations were for this movie. Because like one thing that I think it shakes up is like the notion of there being like a shared Smash Brothers universe. I think people were assuming this was going to be at least animated similarly to Mario, just to make Zelda fit in that same kind of aesthetic. So if you wanted to bring these two together for like a universe, a shared Smash Brothers thing, they could easily do it. But that kind of gets thrown away with him being live action versus Mario being animated. So that's one thing. But another thing too is just that like I think it's easy to assume that like, oh, they're making a live action Zelda, it's going to look like something out of Lord of the Rings or something like that. I don't think so. I think, and knowing Nintendo, they could definitely throw a curveball at fans and say like, hey, we're going to make a live action Zelda movie that looks and feels and sounds like this instead. And even though you were expecting this, like Zelda is a series that has gone through revision after reinvention after redesign, like again and again and again. Like we've, think of, Ocarina of Time to Wind Waker, cartoony, child friendly, to Twilight Princess, gritty, mature, and then something in between like Breath of the Wild and Skyward Sword, like something that's more anime. Like there's no, sorry if you hear a siren in the background, But like there's no limit or like a single pathway for Nintendo to take, and I really think they might just get creative with like the fact that they have a live action movie and like what they can make it look and sound like in a way that like brings out the essence of Zelda, but in a way that translates to movies that like nobody's ever really seen before. And I think also too is that we're not going to get this movie for a while. I think it's going to take at least a few years for this movie to come out, even though that they've been planning this movie for a long time. Apparently, Miyamoto said that he's been talking with Avi Arad for like a few years now, at least on this. So I thought that was interesting. But I think by the time we get this movie, most likely we are going to have another new Zelda that maybe changes up the formula or has a whole new aesthetic to it. And they would want to position it in a way that, hey, it helps the marketing of this game and the game will help the marketing of the movie, and they'll have that synergy together that they just want to make them work together. So I think there's like a lot of room to speculate, at least with like how this will end up looking. But yeah, I mean, Spade, do you have anything? Because I feel like you're the odd guy out who has no Zelda connection or love or.
I just have one question.
Yeah.
Is Link going to talk in this?
He has to. That was another thing too.
Will he have a voice?
No.
Because he's never had a voice.
He has to. It's a video game.
Is Chris Pratt going to do his voice?
Probably.
Oh, no.
Probably. Chris Pratt is going to be Ganondorf.
No.
And that's all I have to
say. No, but I mean,
why would you do this?
Why not?
That's another thing too, though.
I hate you so much.
Like with the Mario movie, Mario doesn't talk that much either, but they had to give him a full set of dialogue, and Chris Pratt. They thought,
what?
For that.
We got Chris Pratt, so maybe we'll get Chris Pratt for Link also. I mean,
well, no, they're going to get somebody younger, that's for sure. But that's the thing too, is just that this is, like the Mario movie was like, that was Nintendo still in their element. Like, yeah, it's their first movie, but like, it's nothing that they weren't ever used to. Like they were working with animators. They do that already with games. They're working with voice actors. They were already doing that with the games. Essentially, Mario was like the longest video game cutscene they ever created. That's really all it was. This is really their first foray into movie making, with working with live actors, working with set design, working with production and camera work and all this stuff. And so if Miyamoto is going to work as closely as he did on this movie as he did with Mario, it's going to be a whole nother realm, I think, for Nintendo, that they in a place that they've never really walked down before. And you can say the Mario movie from 1992 with Bob Hoskins and John Leguizamo was their first, but they didn't touch that movie. They just gave the licensing rights away to the studio and said, do what you want. And we know what happened from there. This is really their first time acting like a movie studio and not a game company. And I think that's really going to be the true test of showing fans, is Nintendo really ready? And do they have what it takes to make like a AAA budget movie from a franchise that people have known for years? And Pancakes, you mentioned we don't know who the cast is yet. They'll announce it at some point in time. Maybe Chris Pratt will have a cameo too, but we don't know.
Michael Cera as Link.
Yeah. Oh my God! Then BigGrim is out. Don't traumatize him, man.
Bite your fucking tongue.
We're still
and on that note.
Yeah, well, on that note, obviously, I'm excited. The Zelda fans in this esteemed panel are excited as well. We won't get news probably for some time, but it's just exciting in general to know that a Zelda movie, a live-action Zelda movie, is indeed real. It is on its way, and there's a lot of news to look forward to and speculation to be had. So until next time, like, subscribe, ring that bell, get notified whenever we do something new. And if you also want to get notified with other things that we do, follow us on Instagram at Official Final Credits. And until next time, we out. Roll credits.
Roll
credits.
Pancakes, you're fucking dead to me.
You had to mention Michael Cera.